Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, family and friends. We're back again. So, last night I was watching I don't want to call it documentary, but I was watching a program with my daughter. And during the program, one of the ladies, they were describing their father, okay? And she said that her father was a good man, a good person. And she went on to tell a story about when her father was, he was up there in age and, probably in his 70s or 80s, And she said that as an old man, he was planting a tree. And he planted this tree knowing that he was too old to ever enjoy the shade. The reason he planted that tree is so that his grandchildren that he had never met, haven't even been born, that they could enjoy the shade. Okay. So his kids didn't have kids yet. Okay, but that's what he said. He said he's planted that tree knowing that he will never get to enjoy the shade, but so that his grandchildren could enjoy the shade. And I thought, you know what, that was a really nice thing. That was a really nice thing to do, really nice thing to say. So I turned to my 12-year-old daughter and I said, babe, what makes a person good? Well, how can you define a good person? And she didn't give me a definition, but she did give me a description. Okay? And I said, okay, how would you describe a good parent? And she said, well, a good parent takes care of their children. And I said, well, under what circumstances? She said, all circumstances. And I said, do they ask for anything in return? What do they get? And she said, well, nothing. They do it because they love their children. I said, all right, cool. I said, well, what about a good friend? How do you describe that? And she said, well, good friends do things for each other. And I said, well, what do they get in return? She said, well, you do it because you like your friend. You do it because you like each other. You care about each other. All right. What about a good brother or sister? She said, well, a good brother takes care of his sister. And I said, well, what do you do for your brother? She says, well, I help take care of him too. You notice a theme? You notice a pattern? What my daughter is describing as a good person is unselfishness. Somebody that does for others without asking for something in return. They do it out of the kindness of their heart or because they care, out of the goodness of their heart. But they do it unselfishly. They're not asking for something in return. Now, some of you can disagree or whatever, but I think that's a pretty darn good description and of what being a good person is. Doing for others and not asking for anything in return. Unselfishness. So, I bring that up, bring it back full circle. I don't think MAGA are good people. I just don't. I don't think that they do things, I don't think they do anything out of the kindness of their heart. And I certainly don't think that they are unselfish. When I told you that they are haters, they hate anybody getting money from the government if it's not them. They hate anybody getting tax breaks if it's not them. They hate anybody that's voting if it's not them. They're haters. And I truly believe that MAGA are not good people because I think they're extremely selfish and self-centered. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Is that a bad take? I would love to hear opinions, whether you agree or disagree. If you just think, you know what, maybe I'm just some crazy dude on camera. Anyway, that's my video, and sorry it was late in the afternoon, but I got to sleep in this morning. I'm off today, so don't forget, if you get a chance, go to my YouTube, like and subscribe or whatever, click whatever, blah blah blah. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.